Hey, hey. Huge congratulations to you, the viewer, because you're about to witness some history. You will always remember this moment as one of the most unenthusiastic moist meters and probably one of the shortest moist meters I've ever made. Aquaman 2 and the Lost Kingdom. More like Aquaman Snooze and the Lost Time, because this is truly a waste of time and it's very difficult to stay awake for this movie. I really don't have many positive things to say about this movie. I actually liked the first Aquaman, shockingly. Like, I went into it not expecting much, but ended up really enjoying the first Aquaman. So I was kind of expecting this one to be fun, though the initial screenings were labeled as disastrous or unreleasable, and everyone was just insulting it, so I stopped having high expectations. But I really didn't expect it to turn out like this. It's not the worst movie I've ever seen. It's not even the worst DC Universe movie I've seen. But it's one of the most boring. It is, I'm not kidding, hard to stay awake for it. I dozed off twice, and one of them was during like this big fight moment, because it's so clear nobody really tried at all. It was clear from like the very first 20 minutes worth of this film's opening. No one's heart was in this film at all. This was a movie that was pumped out just because it was part of the release schedule, so they were obligated to finish it and just shit this one out onto the market. So if no one in it cares, why the fuck am I gonna care? Plus, it doesn't have any real place in the DCU. This is the funeral for the DCU, and man, what a sad wet fart whimper it goes out on. As I understand it, they're doing an entirely new rebooted DCU, and this is the last remnant of the old guard, the ancient ways. And no one's going to remember this movie. Unless, of course, you're trying to remember some of the best sleep you ever got in a movie theater, because watching this is like taking NyQuil. It is visual sleep aid. So let's go ahead and get into it. First and foremost, the narrative is outrageously disjointed. The movie's 2 hours long, but it felt like it needed another hour and a half just to put together a plot that works, that fits, because it feels like it just constantly tried to speedrun things. Arthur, Aquaman, would teleport everywhere he needed to go. There was no real journey or anything. He's just like, I need to go find my brother. And then he's already there, like, beating some ass and freeing his brother. He's like, alright, good. It's like, well, how did you get there? Like, this man just has instant transmission like Goku here. There's just, things happen for the sake of plot convenience. Things just happen. And it's so unfulfilling, and especially because the performances from everyone are so flat. And it's not even the acting. I want to make it clear. I don't even think the acting is bad. It's the dialogue. The dialogue is so AI generated and bland that it makes all of the characters, no matter how hard they try, bland and boring. To give you an example, a truly devastating moment happens in the plot, one that's absolutely going to put tears in the eyes of everyone in the audience watching this. Something bad happens to Aquaman's family, and since this is a movie mainly about Aquaman's family, a lot of times it's spent like a buddy cop film with his brother. It's a movie about his family, and when this scene happens, I shit you not, I think it's five cuts, and what it is they go through all of Aquaman's closest friends and family, and they go, no! 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 Like, cutting between each one of them just saying no. It's fucking laughable. It is so silly. I really don't know why they would have put that in the final cut, and I think it's just scrambling to have put something out. This movie was apparently a victim of tons and tons of reshoots, and I really think you can feel that. For example, there were the rumors about Amber Heard's role in this film being cut down, and I definitely think that's the case. I don't think this is what the film was originally supposed to be. Since it's a movie about Aquaman's family, you would expect Amber Heard, who played a huge role in the first one, to have a big role in this one. But she doesn't. She's sidelined. They put her on the bench. I think she only has like 5 total scenes or something maybe, and I could probably count the amount of dialogue she has on one hand. She doesn't say or do anything in this film, even though it's all about Aquaman's family, so it's clear there were a lot of reshoots here in order to like get her role less, and then they didn't know how to fill in the blanks, so then they haphazardly threw other things together and probably had to do more reshoots, which led to like even more emotionless moments throughout. The whole thing just feels like a mess. And even visually, I thought this one would probably be good visually, even though DCU's got a reputation for having bad CGI. I thought the first Aquaman had a couple of wonky CGI moments, but overall is one of the better looking DCU movies. This one goes right back into the old ways, and there are some terrible CGI moments. And for some reason, half of the scenes just have the characters standing still. Like, they're not doing things half the time. I don't even know how they can make it look bad. They're just not doing anything, and sometimes it'll still just visually look like shit. It's so weird how this one does everything wrong that the first one did right. Even the villain that I thought was just a surefire slam dunk, easy because the villain's so fucking cool, they fumbled. Manta isn't nearly as cool in this movie as he was in the first one. And in fact, Manta, like, they make him look as though it's not even Manta. They give him a storyline that, you know, he wants revenge and all of that. But then they overwrite it with their goofy mumbo jumbo about like the ancient evil from back in the day using the Orichalcum, which I will admit is a really cool name because it reminds me of Yu-Gi-Oh! With the seal of Orichalcos. But they should have just stuck with actual Manta being the main villain instead of being this puppet for the greater evil. Manta is so much more interesting than their stupid green wizard fishman. Like, no one cares about that guy, and even still, he doesn't do much. Like, they should have just had it be Manta as the main villain. He's so much cooler, and it would contrast so nicely with the theme of family, since Manta hates Aquaman for killing his father. That would be the perfect contrast to Aquaman's family dynamic and his family journey. And while that's kind of still present, it's executed so poorly because they have this completely disjointed narrative and they keep trying to shoehorn in this ancient evil with all this ancient technology, and somehow Manta has a whole army of people that know how to pilot all of it and use all of it for no reason that they ever explain. It's just such a mess. I'll go ahead and fish a few compliments out for the movie, though. There's a couple of scenes with Aquaman and his brother that I think were enjoyable. Like, just having them shoot the shit sometimes was pretty fun, mainly because Jason Momoa and Patrick Wilson are just kind of charismatic, so when they're interacting with each other, it works. Like, that dynamic I thought was pretty decent, even though, again, all of that is just fucking blasted through super quickly. Like, you don't really see them bond, in my opinion. Like, they just happen to get to a point where all of a sudden they're tight, but they don't really earn that, especially given their history. They just end up there because they needed to for the plot. But when they are just, like, joking back and forth, it's pretty cute. Like, that's, like, it's wholesome. And another nice thing I can say about the movie is there are a few good scenes. Like, their action is pretty enjoyable when it's there, and pretty much every good scene in the film has Manta in it. There are some standout moments, and Manta is the one that leads those. Now, plugging Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom in the Moist Meter, I'm going to give it a 35%. It's hard to care about a movie when no one who made it seems to care. Like I said, this really seems like something that they just threw together because they had to. They had a contract they had to fulfill, so they did it. There's no real passion behind it. There's no real story they want to tell. Like, there's just really nothing worth seeing in this movie, which is a real shame because, like I said, I like the first one. I thought they did a lot of things right with the first one, and everything they set up there is completely not capitalized on here at all, even slightly. So yeah, that's about it. See ya.